it's very interesting when I find out about other people who have siblings. I mean, there were 4 of us, and I thought everybody grew up the way we did. I was born in 1953, and I came into this world, and I had 2 sisters at my back, always. And 5 years later, Jean came along, or Jeannie as we called her. And so we've always been a tight group. And like you said, we got in trouble. I'm not going to repeat all the things because Ellen really did. But it was always fun. And it could be anything from laughing at my grandmother Verdell's underwear on the line and calling them rumbakites. To some more nefarious stuff. But it was never nefarious. Think about it. Anyway, the point really is Nancy was fun. And some people didn't get Nancy. As you can see, she was very pretty. Okay? She's a blonde haired, blue eyed Southern girl, and that's what they thought about her. And they missed the mark by so much. And we lived in Southwest Atlanta, and this was when Steve came along. They met in the Latin Club. And that was always a fun little game going on with the 2 of them for a while. They weren't quite going steady, I guess you would call it. And and Nancy just, she'd smile and say, okay, but don't cross her. Don't do that. And I remember one specific time when Nancy worked at a place called Tally Ho, and it was a dress shop, very nice one. So it was a Friday night, and I think she had a date with somebody else. Okay? So the guy was waiting for her to get off. Well, guess who drove up? Steve. And Nancy came out, and he was going, well, come on, Nancy. She goes, I'm going with him. And I mean, this went on kind of for, I guess, a year or so. And finally they kind of said, we'll just date each other. And Steve used to pay me to get out of the living room. He was really cheap. He started out with a dime. And I talked him up to a quarter. Okay, because they would sit in there, and that's where they listened to records. And I'm just going to say, Jean, I can't remember stuff like that. She does. But anyway, it was just to watch that relationship grow. And they were really funny. And, and I was like 5 years younger, so I was like, yeah, with most of it. But I was also a bridesmaid at the wedding, and, and then you saw this relationship go on, and it was probably one of the sturdiest. And I say that because that's what it was. It's like, did they have problems? Yeah. Did they just want to, throttle each other? Yeah. But they really did acknowledge and respect the sanctity of marriage. And that's something that's something I really, really, really respect and admire. And that. Now, I got to go see Nancy at Caminiti a couple of times because I was an administrator for Head Start in Hillsborough County. So I was close by. So every once in a while I would drop in and bring her something or do something like that. And it was always wonderful. And it wasn't just her classroom. It was the whole school. It was the place, but she loved those kids. I did the more things like decorating your room and stuff like that, because I was an early childhood person. And so, she knew who to go to for different ideas. But I'm like my sister, and I'm not going to beat this to death. Oh, sorry, Nancy. Well, she would laugh and say, but seriously, I have these dreams about 3 o'clock in the morning. She must be really busy. She is. 3 o'clock. She is. But anyway, and it's all this wonderful stuff. It's all good memories. So I know she's here in my heart, and she's in our family, and I love her so much, and I always will. Thank you. Okay, I'm the last one. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and finish Anne's living room story. Okay, there was a couch and then there was a stereo. This was like 1963 or thereabouts. There was a song by the Lovin' Spoonful called Daydream. Still a good song. Steve brought the 45 over, and I think they made out to that song for like a year. Because I was the family spy, okay? I was like 4 or 5 years old, and Steve didn't try to bribe me because he had no idea that I was there lurking around, because I was pretty good at it. And anyway, yeah, Anne's right. So, I'm sorry. Anyway, so, that's my son, y'all. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. It wouldn't be right if it wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This is us, y'all.
Wouldn't be the family if it didn't.
Wouldn't be a family. That's
More
true.
room out than in, as Mom always said.
That's right.
So, all right.
That's right. So anyway, okay. I, as the youngest, I will say Nancy was 10 years older than I am, and when I was about 4 or 5, I wanted to marry Bullwinkle. I watched a lot of cartoons. And so most older sisters would just be, I mean, these were great older sisters too, but I mean, I was a little tiny thing and they would just be like, yeah, whatever. But Nancy did an entire wedding for me to marry Bullwinkle. And it was great. She played all the parts.
Rabbit out of the hat?
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, no, she played all the parts, and then I don't know what she put on my head to be a wedding veil, probably a slip or something, and we did the whole thing, and it still sticks with me because it was so incredible, and that was one of my first steps into, this whole fantasy kind of a thing, and Nancy kind of helped that along because for her it was legit, it was real, you living like that, like your imagination is just as valuable as any other thing in the world, was incredible. And it was incredible for me because all through my growing up years and stuff, Nancy, she kind of served a dual purpose. She helped me, well, with the imagination. I always knew I could go to her, and I'm a creative person. I'm a visual artist and an actor, so it's kind of like that's where I live. And Nancy always encouraged me, and even as an adult, she introduced me to Harry Potter. I didn't know what it was, and she told me about it, and that's where it started. We bought the first book for Ryan, and then I kind of took it over. But anyway, she was just incredible that way, and we had this whole silly thing about Dobby the house elf. She and Steve would come up for Christmas after the kids were grown, and it was the most magical thing. It's like, it made it feel like such a special holiday because we would usually go see whatever Harry Potter movie came out, Lord of the Rings, whatever movie happened to come out at that time. And then I just kind of carried over this beautiful sense of fantasy and fun and magic. I don't know, it's hard to explain. But the other purpose that Nancy served, besides being an excellent big sister, is that she was always there. We lost our mom in 1981, and it was very, very difficult for all of us. And Nancy, I could call her when my kids were young and something was going on, maybe an illness or whatever, and I would say, what about this? Or what? She was like, well, Jennifer went through that when she was, 6, and this is what we did. Or Tom went through that when he was, 10, this is what we did. All of these things, and those 2-hour phone calls, are something else. And it was just invaluable to me because I kind of felt adrift. And when David was born, Nancy came and stayed with us for about 10 days, at which point she finally reminded me that she had a family too, and she needed to get home. But
David is a blessing to the entire family, and I can't imagine life without him. But at that time, he was my first child, and I didn't know how to do this whole thing, you know. And she was just incredible. And yeah, see, she did that. She did do it. But anyway, yeah, she was incredible. Helped me through a lot of the things. I really had no clue what I was doing, you know. But turned out okay. And anyway, she was just an incredible, amazing, big-hearted, caring person. She really did go out of her way, you know, to do things for other people, and I feel blessed every day, you know, for growing up in a family where we had great parents and great siblings, and we were incredibly obnoxious and still probably will be, but you know, I'm sure I don't think we're gonna let that go. And
It's tradition now.
It is tradition. If we can't sing show tunes and, you know, strut around the house, it's not a family gathering. So, but it was just incredible, and I am so grateful for it. I'm so grateful to be a part of this special family. And even though y'all well, it was a good thing. Anyway, okay, one more thing. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything. Okay, the oven. That's all I'm gonna say, the oven. Okay. I'll explain later if anybody wants to know. Let's see. What was it, the last thing? Oh, okay. We were on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and we went to this big restaurant in Florida. And, you know, this was not too long after Nancy passed, and we had all been down here. And so I was sitting in the lobby waiting for our table, and this group of women were in there. And they looked like they might be related, and they had on a t-shirt that said, yes, we realize we're completely obnoxious when we're all together. Nancy,
We need those.
we do,
Yeah.
I know, and I
Stat.
mean, it was like a dual thing. It was like my eyes teared up, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to start crying in the middle of the restaurant. But on the other hand, I was like, thank you, Nancy. It's true. It's true. So I don't know. I feel blessed. I feel blessed, and I'm going to miss Nancy so much. But by golly, she had such an influence, and I know that we'll all share that. And yes, she does. We had lots of conversations when I was at the beach. So anyway, all right, that's it. I'm done.
All right. I want to say thank you for everybody for coming here today. I see people that I've known forever, and I see people that I've just started to get to know. And in the interest of time, I'm going to keep my speech a little bit more brief. My mother sacrificed a lot for me and my brother when we were growing up. My mom had saved money for a new pair of shoes for herself. She finally got them. Same day, my brother walked out of his shoes, the sole fell off. She just gave them to him. We certainly had some tight times. And in middle school, my mother never shopped for herself. She always made sure that I had clothes for school and nice clothes for school. But she didn't shop for herself, and she had a habit which is the mom, can you park 2 blocks away? I'll walk the rest of the way kind of thing. She would wear sweatpants. Now my mother was 6 feet tall. I mean, six feet tall. They didn't have tall women's sweatpants. So her sweatpants would always be around. But she also was an avid reader. And when I was 10 years old, my mother gave me a book called The Last of the Really Great Wingdoodles. It's by Julie Andrews Edwards, you know, Mary Poppins. Okay, so I read this book. There's a passage in the book where the professor that meets the children, they go on this big adventure. I'll keep that part brief. He talks about how people lack imagination and people are always looking down in this world. And nobody's ever looking up and looking at the colors around them, seeing this beautiful world. So my mom, also, can you drop me off 2 blocks away, would wear socks with all sorts of things on them. The crazy sock lady. Everybody knows the crazy sock lady. But it's because too many people look down in this life. And she wanted to have them have something interesting to look at.
Good point.
So my mother wants you to, I know that, right? Right? So
Foster for everyone.
I tend to be a little bit more straight-laced than my mother was. But my mom has taught me to look up in this life. She's taught me to enjoy the world around me, the people in it, to the fullest. And her love will always be in my heart. And I know it will always be in my family's heart. And I know she's touched each and every one of you. And I'm very, very glad that you were all here today.
Billy, are you ready? Okay. Billy would like to share another psalm with us.
You know, I've been around this family for about 40 years, and I don't really have a speaking part aside from the reading the psalm. But I will say, coming in as an outsider and seeing these women, and when we were in Panama City at Captain Anderson's at the restaurant, and this flock of ladies had this T-shirt about, yes, we know we're obnoxious when we're all together. I said, you and your sisters need. So,
You ordered
and
them
throw in
first,
Jennifer
yeah.
too. You know, the imagination that Nancy had, the love for people, the ability to talk and talk and talk about anything and everything, and, you know, situations and people and, you know, stories, and the love for the creativity in the literature world and that kind of thing. She was really a great influence on a lot of folks, and I know everybody in here knows that. A great person to be around and a great person to have contributing to my experience with the family. So this is Psalm 121. I will lift up my eyes to the hills, from whence come my help. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He will keep you. He who keeps you will not stumble. Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. The Lord shall preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth and even forevermore.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you, Billy.
So, I want to thank you all again for coming. Congratulations, you're all family now.
Do we get a T-shirt?
Sure.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Write your sizes down and burn it, and she'll get it and let us know.
We don't need t-shirts, we all need cups. But I know somebody who makes cups.
One of her fondest wishes that was repeated over and over again was for a New Orleans style jazz funeral. We are doing our best to honor that, and I am sure that every single one of you has a story that you would love to share with us. So we also have some of her favorite snacks and treats and things if you would care to join us in the jazz processional Hope you brought some umbrellas. If not, we brought a few spares. Our parade takes us around the park, and we will all end up at the pavilion here. However, since it is warm enough to almost make Nancy take off her sweater, if you don't want to take the whole path with us, and we would love to share more stories in a more less formal environment. So please join us there.
Because we're so formal.
Right. Well, I mean, you know.
I know.
I don't have in a button-down shirt. Come on. So, in order to carry a bit of Nancy's whimsy with us, we have our kazoos, and we have our jazz band. So, let's turn again to life and make a joyous noise.
All right.